ZM Zig fan. ZM ZM. Welcome to another episode of Builder Spotlight, the series where we explore the minds and the missions behind the DApps building the future of on-chain wealth generation infrastructure exclusively on ZigChain. Today we are going to dive into the ethical side of DeFi with Nawa Finance, and we have Shakir alongside us, who is a core contributor at Nawa. So Nawa is on a mission to bring automated, Sharia compliant and yields to a space that's long been dominated by high risk speculation and opaque strategies. This is ethical finance powered by DeFi. Let's unpack what that means, why it matters, and how Nawa is building it. So Shakir, welcome welcome to the show. We would like to know firstly, what's the origin story of Nawa Finance? What is the gap that you saw in the market, which and what was the driving force behind launching an ethical DeFi protocol?
Right, sure. First and foremost, thanks Nanko and thanks Zikchin for having myself and Nawa Finance in this show today. I think it came out from Nawa Finance came out from a very personal sort of experience. Being people who've been building in fintech in Web3, naturally, being people from the Muslim faith, our families, our friends reach out to us and ask, can we do this? Can we do that in the world of Web3 or DeFi? And we realize that as more and more people adopt digital assets and DeFi, uh, it cannot be a sustainable solution for us to just keep advising our friends and family members on a ad hoc basis offline, right? So we decided, look, let's come together and build, Nawa Finance as a way to aggregate Sharia compliant and ethical yields for our users. There's so much going on, so many new yield sources and so on and so forth. We navigate through those mess and bring only the ethical and Sharia compliant yield sources for our users, and we just make it simple for them to access these yields. So we take it seriously. We work with one of the best Sharia advisors in the world in the form of Amani Advisors based out of Dubai. These guys, they review multi-billion-dollar sukuks, project financing banks around the world, in the traditional finance world. But we brought them into Web3, and they've also looked at how we generate yields, and they review what we do, and we get audited by them every year, and also audited by them before we launch. So this is something we take very seriously, and I think that's the only way to do it, because people need to feel that peace of mind when they want to invest in an ethical or Sharia compliant way. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Before I move on to the next question, all the listeners, give me a ZM on the chat so that I know that you guys are watching, and we welcome Shakir with that ZM, and we move on to the next question. So Shakir, Nawa is building
Mhm.
something quite rare. So far, DeFi had not seen. Had just been working on the conventional
Yeah.
side of DeFi. Sharia compliant DeFi is a very new term. What does that actually mean in practice, and how do you ensure that compliance isn't just a label but a design
Yep,
principle?
that's a great question. So how we look at the world of DeFi for now is, very simply at the foundations of DeFi today, you have three sources of yield. One, you have liquidity provisioning to DEXs. You provide yield to DEXs, you allow people to swap, you earn trade fees, you earn some form of incentive. So to us, this is very straightforward. There is no lending. Without lending, there is no interest. So it's a very easy way to generate Sharia compliant yields. So that's one. The second one is liquid staking, right? The our From our engagement with our Sharia advisors and the way that we view liquid staking is that it's perfectly fine for most public blockchains that are out there, like Zigchain is one. is because it is a public infrastructure that needs to be upkeep. You process transactions, you validate transactions, you make sure that the integrity of the public blockchain is always there, is always in place, and for doing those work you get paid. Again, no lending, you just get rewarded for upkeeping of the public blockchain,
The,
and there is no interest involved in this side of things. So again, that's also a Sharia compliant yield source that we've worked with our money advisors to sort of approve. Now, the third one is lending and borrowing, right? So think about your RVs, your compounds, so on and so forth. So
yeah.
that is challenging because one of the most important factors of determining ethicalness or Sharia compliantness of something is whether it gets involved with lending and whether there's an element of interest. So those we do not touch at this point. So we focus pretty much on DEX liquidity provisioning and liquid staking to offer Sharia compliant yields to our users.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Very insightful.
Yeah.
So, for users who are new to the concept, DeFi in general is a globally, if you look at it, it's a very new concept. So, Sharia compliant DeFi is definitely even more
Mhm.
recent than the former. So, for users who are new to this concept, how does Nawa actually work? Can you break down the user flow and the automation powering yield generation behind the scenes? I think you've explained the three sources of yield,
Yeah.
but could you like break down the process of how users can get that yield?
Yeah. So we have vaults on Nawa Finance. So
Okay.
each vault typically represents a popular asset class in DeFi, for example, like BTC, or stable coins like USDC, or even ZIC, as a token for ZIC chain, right? So for users who want to earn Sharia compliant yields on ZIC, for example, they can go to our ZIC vault, deposit, and we take care of everything in the back. So you don't have to think
Okay.
about collecting your rewards, selling it for more zig, and then depositing it into your zig vault again. So compounding is taken care of, but most importantly, is that peace of mind. Like, if you're a vegetarian, for example, right? You want to go and have a meal in a restaurant. If on the outside they tell you it's a vegetarian restaurant, you go in and you eat everything, right? And that gives you that peace of mind. So similarly for Nawa, by being default Sharia compliant and ethical, we want to give that peace of mind to our users. Yeah, you can go out there and source these yields yourself and do it, but more importantly, we solve a lot of the thinking for you. You can only today I was just looking at like 50 over different yield sources. Looking at the token level, is the token Sharia compliant? Is the way the token generating yield Sharia compliant? So we take care of all that headache for you. You have the peace of mind. You come into Nawa, deposit your token, and just get your yields. So we really are here to provide a peace of mind to this huge demography of people who care about ethical and Sharia compliance, whilst we make it really simple behind the scenes for you, without being opaque. Yeah. So many of the simplified solutions out there, they take your funds off chain and they start doing different things. But we are truly on chain and we're truly DeFi. Our codes, our smart contracts are verified. We do audits, we publish our audits, and we really want to give people that peace of mind at the end of the day.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So, like, you're opening this space for 2 billion Muslims.
Mhm.
I would even go as far as saying that Sharia compliant finance over the last 15, 16 years, especially since 2008 financial crisis, Sharia compliant has become, kind of an example for the conventional finance as well. People are now taking in different ideas from Sharia compliant and imposing them on conventional finance as well. So, it's a huge market that's out there, and we are opening doors for that market. Nawa's core pitch has been making DeFi inclusive for
Mhm.
those who were previously excluded,
Yep.
which I just spoke of. So, how do you see this playing out on ZigChain exactly?
Yeah, so we are really excited to go on ZigChain. I think we fully align with ZigChain to really focus on wealth growth, wealth creation for the masses. I think in the past, very juicy DeFi yields were really, kept for a select group of people. If you have the right connections, a lot of money, people will come to you. Same for traditional finance, right? If you, as a retail, you open a
True.
retail banking account, they'll give you 0.2% interest. But then if you have a premier or a
Yeah.
private banking account, they can pay you 8-9% per year. So I think we are fully aligned with ZigChain in terms of democratizing wealth creation. And I think that's also a big part of Sharia compliant finance and ethical finance. It's ethical to share the good things with everybody and not keep it, not hoard it only for the select few. So we're really excited to launch. We are really, right now, we are really fully focused on building out our launch in ZigChain, and I hope in the next couple of weeks we can make some very cool announcements on ZigChain. Yeah.
Looking forward to them. Looking forward to them. Guys, give us a ZM on the chat for Shakir for everything that he has explained. This is like something that can really change the landscape of how we deal with finance right now, especially when it's coming on chain. It's going to be transparent. So I think this is where the real alpha is right now, basically. Moving on, let's talk transparency. A lot of
Yeah.
platforms say they are open and ethical, but Nawa puts it front and center. And we've seen that. You guys have been live, acquiring a lot of TVL on your original chain that you guys went on. What kind of visibility and control do users actually get with Nawa?
Yeah, that's a great question. So before, for the user, from the user point of view, after you deposit on Nawa Finance's vaults, we have a dashboard where you can track, how much money you initially put in, where's your position right now, how much you've earned, how much you've lost, so on and so forth. And that's really where most of the users would get our transparency. But if you are a bit more savvy, you're a bit more of a DeFi kind of degen, you can look at the explorers where we are deployed, right? And all our contracts are verified. You'll be surprised that many protocols that are, especially the newer ones, that even their contracts are not verified, and that's to me a very big problem. And but it's such a simple thing, but people don't do. But when you don't do that, people question whether you have something to hide or you're just not capable. So simple things like that we try to get right. We make sure that our contracts are verified. The degens that use our protocol have that peace of mind. Beyond that, we've gone through 2 rounds of tech audits, and we've published the tech audits on our website. For our ZigChain launch, we will also be audited again for our deployment on ZigChain, and we will also be publishing that audit. All in all, that's how we sort of think about transparency for Nawa Finance. Yeah.
Very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. So you just spoke about trust, building that trust with the user of a protocol. I think this whole smart contract thing actually wants us to go into a more trustless environment where people don't have to trust the other party, and they can, by holding their own assets to themselves, which is self custody, they can invest in different areas and earn a yield. So, adding on to that, what makes Nawa different from other tokenized investment products or DeFi yield platforms? How do you balance like safety, returns, and user trust? I think you've spoken on user trust, but we would still like to know more on the safety and the return side.
Yeah. I think we are speaking to a very unique audience at Nawa Finance. We're speaking to a group of audience that prioritizes the ethical nature and Sharia compliance nature of the product that they are investing in. So that comes first and foremost. So when we attract such users, right, and we do that by speaking the truth, that we never promise very high APRs or potential tokens coming up, points, stuff like that. We just go straight to the actual product. So that means, even if the yield is 2% on Bitcoin, right? May not sound exciting for most of the degens out there, but we're fine with that because that's what we stand for. First and foremost, we need to be Sharia compliant and ethical in terms of the products that we offer, and we tend to attract good quality people too, right? So where we get our
Yeah.
TVLs today, it's people who know DeFi, who I would say are rather degen, right? Very deep pockets. They know what's out there. They know that they can get 10,000% APR somewhere in the huge DeFi world,
Exactly.
but they're not going there because
Exactly.
they're like, look, I have so many things in life that's going on, right? My new child, this and that, new job. I have, say, $1 million to deploy somewhere, and I care about Sharia compliance. Now, can I trust you to manage this and make sure that it's Sharia compliant? So those are the kind of people that we are talking to. So in terms of safety, I would say it's probably up there, but alongside it, you have Sharia compliance too. And because of that, the TVL that we bring in, the quality of your bringing, they are a lot more sticky, right? They don't just leave because another chain has like a 5% better yield, right? They stay because of
Yeah.
us, of what we stand for. So I think that's really important to distinguish us from other protocols. It's okay if not the whole DeFi world is shouting our name, but that good quality 10,000 people, 100,000 people that use us, that really matters to us a lot. Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
completely agree. I think it's very obvious that whenever there are high returns, the risk is
yeah,
also very high. And in terms of yield, whenever we've seen these 10,000%, 2,000% yield on a
mhm,
DeFi protocol, most of the time we see, a story not in the very far in the future that that particular protocol either got hacked because of some security issues, or the sponsors ran away with the funds, or some bug in the contract which led people to get drugged. So I think most of the DeFi guys would understand that there is risk involved with high returns, and but when you want sustainable long-term yields, you look at protocols which give you that the kind of trust, or the belief that my money is safe. I don't need to worry about where my money
yeah.
is right now. So
Perfect,
very
perfect.
nice,
Yeah,
very perfect. Yeah. Anyways, so the space is evolving fast.
yeah,
We all know that. Like last year it was all about the memes. This year we are transforming into more a regulated space. There is RWAs happening. The your conventional assets are now being tokenized. Where do you see Nawa heading next in terms of features, in terms of partnerships, or is there a product roadmap that you can share with the audience?
yeah. So that's a great question. So right now we support mainly BTC because of the where we are at right now. As we move into Zig, of course, we'll be supporting the Zig token. That's very important to us. We're also thinking about stable coins, offering yields on stable coins. So in terms of, let me let you guys in a bit on how we sort of think about yields. So we keep in touch with our bigger users, bigger investors on our protocol. We know some of them, right? And we ask them what they want, right? So
Okay.
initially they wanted BTC, we give them BTC, and that drove up our TVL. Now they're saying, hey, Shakir, we have some stable sitting around doing nothing, but I cannot deploy it on Aave and interest. That's against what I believe in. So give me a solution on stablecoin. So that's something
Okay.
that we're thinking of down the line. And you brought up a very good point on real world assets. That's coming in. Um, I think at some point the worlds will converge, like the true DeFi and that.
Agree.
But I think there's still a lot of things to do on the RWA side of things. Figuring
Yeah.
out how to KYC, KYB, that will destroy sort of a lot of the simple UI that we have in DeFi today. Like right now, you have your
Hmm.
Phantom wallet or Rabi wallet, whatever. You load it up with a stable coin or Zig, you can start deploying, right? What if I tell you one
Yeah.
day before you can do that, there's like a 10-step process for you to upload your passport. That's
Exactly.
gonna that's not something that the people in DeFi today are used to. And I think the conversations I'm having with people doing RWAs is to find that balance between regulations and simplicity. and that simplicity
I
often
agree.
revolves around how you KYC KYB, and
Yeah.
I think in terms of, in the last couple of weeks, I saw a lot of very large protocols reaching out to us at Nawa Finance. We all know, I think it's no
Okay.
longer a secret that Binance launched a Sharia earn product for their centralized exchange,
Agreed.
right? So
Agreed.
suddenly
Yeah.
everyone in DeFi is talking about Sharia compliance. Everyone
Okay.
wants to make a move, and I think being one of the early movers in the space, we've got really big calls from very big protocols who are interested, and we like it because as an aggregator, more and more of the foundational DeFi protocols have Sharia products. Then it makes life easier for us to aggregate. I don't need to
True.
go and look at things that didn't declare themselves as Sharia compliant. There are millions of them to find the gem. If these
Yeah.
guys are saying, "Hey, I'm halal," okay, it makes my life a lot easier. All I do is just I aggregate and make the UI easy, right? And focus on the security rather than go and research. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how I'm seeing the market right now. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Perfect. Perfect. So I think you spoke correctly when you talked about, the problems with RWAs right now with KYC, KYB. There's a lot of work being happening for on-chain verifications and on-chain KYCs as well. I think that will start playing a role very soon, especially with the kind of demand that's coming in for RWAs. So I think it's only going to get easier from here before the two worlds converge, which is the DeFi world and the TradFi world. They kind of converge. But I see what you're talking about, and I completely agree with you.
amazing.
Moving on to the next question. If there's one thing you want people to take away from Nawa's story, what would it be? What would your advice will be to the audience?
Wow. I think it's I think it's just uh, ignoring what people have understood to be the norm in building for DeFi, right? I think before I came into Nawa Finance, I looked at the Web3 world and DeFi. Sometimes there's a bit too much hype, but what really matters at the end of the day is the real TVL, real users coming in and
True.
really trusting the platform. That's why I like ZigChain a lot. It's a very strong community. People turn up for serious conversations like this. So that's really amazing. And Yeah, I mean, just focusing on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals is a decent product, a good product, secured product. If you are in the Sharia compliance space, make sure you've got the right Sharia compliance certification. And when you talk about
Hmm.
TVL, it's real people with real money that wants your product and not just fleeting capital, right? Like, or a new chain
Yeah.
launches, you stake this amount, you get these tokens. We don't really need that if you have a really good product. ZigChain has a very good
Yep.
community. People are interested about wealth generation. They just come together without you having to work too hard, and you're
Yep.
offering them the moon and the stars. So I think going back to the foundations, offering people what they want, and being real about the community that we are building. I think that's really important. Yeah, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. No, I wish you
Thank
best of
you.
luck on the future, guys. You heard from the horse's mouth. If you are a BTC holder, if you're a Zig holder, if you're a stablecoin holder, and you want them to earn a stable yield, which is ethical, which does not at the back end do any shady stuff. You want secure yield coming your way. Nava Finance is your place to be.
Awesome.
So I think at that note, we are going to say thank you to Shakir for being here,
Thank you,
for
Danko.
enlightening our audience with all the great information that you just given us. I hope that we'll be seeing Nava Finance going live on
Yep.
ZigChain very soon. If you could, just one last question, if you could give us a timeline on things, that would be great for the audience. That is where the real
Yeah.
alpha would be, and then we move on to
Yeah, I
wrap
think
up
it's a
this call.
matter of weeks, not months. I cannot give an exact date right now because there are certain things that are beyond my control. For example, like
Okay,
audits and stuff like that. It really depends on stuff. But in terms
yeah,
of what we are aiming for, it is a matter of weeks for us to launch. Yep. Yep.
guys, you heard it here. Nava Finance is going live very soon. Lock up your bags, lock up your wallets, Nawa is going to open up for the world very soon. So now at that point, Nawa is building whatever Nawa is building. It kind of fits perfectly with our broader
Yeah.
mission on ZigChain. Bringing composable, accessible, mission-aligned wealth infrastructure, which is fully on-chain. This isn't just about another yield platform. We are not talking about these random platforms that are popping up that offer you high yields. It's more about redefining what DeFi can be when principles and
Yeah.
performance go hand in hand. You get your returns, but at the same time, there are principles that are involved that you don't want to break. And that's what character is all about. So I think
Very well put,
this
Nanko. Thank
is
you for that.
where. Thank you. Thank you. So as we continue shaping ZigChain into the go-to ecosystem for high integrity differentiated DApps, projects like Nawa are setting the tone for it. We've already talked about how Nawa Finance works and what sort of positives that it brings to the whole ecosystem. So if you're curious what value aligned DeFi can actually look like, I would definitely ask you to load up your wallets and wait for Nawa to go live so you can explore it yourself. I think on that note, I'm going to say
Thank
thank
you.
you to our guest, Shakir
Thank
Bhai.
you,
Thank you
Nanko.
for being here, for giving us all this wonderful information. For the Builder Spotlight, see you in the next one. Next one, Zig fam, and ZM again to everyone
ZM.
who attended.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.